so that I can sync them. That's probably a good idea. Ollie West.
Hi, Ian.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Good. I'm alright, yeah. It's funny because we've had this exact conversation in soundcheck like 5 times.
Yes, we've been through
we've
we've
covered the pleasantries, we really have. Yeah, so I know Ollie because we play in a band, but it's weird whenever you tell people, when you tell people like from home, I play in a band, they expect you to mean like, oh yeah, out playing stadium gigs. They think you're out like doing your own stuff, and it's like no, we play in a Ceilidh band that play at weddings and stuff.
Yeah, every band different. You're in has to be a band that, are you getting big? And they're like, well, we play it's a wedding band.
Yeah, we play weddings. Yeah, like what's wrong with that? Like that's how. I don't even know. Like out of live musicians working today, I think that's probably how the majority of them make money. Yeah. That's how they pay rent, is by playing in wedding bands. Totally.
Yeah, you have to. I think there's not any. Well, unless you're sort of Katy Perry, there's not really money to be made in original music. So you've got to pay the rent somehow. And
even when you think about Katy Perry, and you think maybe she might have like some orchestral players with her or some professional musicians with her, they're not going to be on the same money. Katy Perry's drummer doesn't make the same as Katy Perry.
No, Katy Perry's drummer still probably has to do a wedding when Katy Perry's not on tour.
Yeah, that's just totally how it works. And I feel like, do you feel like you've resigned yourself to that fact, or are you like, I always treat it like I'm trying to get out of that circle, but then at the same time you want to get into that circle so you get more money. It's a weird one. What's your take?
It swings and roundabouts, doesn't it? I always find myself kind of going, oh well, I really need all this work so I can earn all this money, and then when I've got all the work, I'm going, oh, I wish I was doing less work so I could spend more time on it. So you have this sort of constant like internal battle, I think.
Yeah, totally.
And I find myself quite often like, so right now, obviously August is the heavy, the wedding season. Yeah. So you come out the other end of August into September and you just go, and you have to like breathe and just sort of take 5 minutes for yourself. But I can't moan about my job. At the end of the day, I'm still doing something I love for a living.
True, that is so true. Like
in any form.
Yeah, I've worked other jobs. None of them for very long.
No,
because they were just awful compared to this. Compared to just like because at the end of the day as well, like when you're doing, because with music, because it's one of those things where I think it's kind of when you're learning music as a kid and then become a professional musician, you've built up the skills through something that was a hobby. When was the last time you built up your skills to become someone who works in an office by having fun on Excel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, you don't learn those skills that you need to be in other jobs from having fun. Whereas in terms of music and sports, I guess, you do. Like, you've already got those skills because you love doing it. So you can immediately walk straight into that job, even though it's a lot harder to make, because you have to make that job, really.
Yeah.
But at least you already have the skills ingrained in yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's what people don't understand about it, is that it's, you spend 15 years before you start working as a musician, training to be a musician.
Totally.
So, but you have the same conversation with everyone.
Yeah, that's so true.
I'm a musician. Oh, so what do you do?
Yeah, it's just what it says on the tin, really.
Kind of a bit of everything.
I have this relative who every time he definitely won't listen to this. I don't think he knows what podcasts are, but he's not even a relative. He's one of like a Dutch uncle or Dutch auntie. Yeah. I've got loads of those. I've got loads of my nan's mates who are just like uncle, whoever. And it's just like, who are they? Oh, your granddad used to work with them in Goffs or something. But he always says to me, he's like, "You got a job yet?"
Oh,
like
no.
He's waiting for me to get a job, and it's like, yeah, I'm a musician. He's like, yeah, but when are you gonna get a job? I'm like, all right. It's become almost like a joke, and it's like, yeah, and it's just like, yeah, I've got a job. What? Because at the end of the day, like, what was his job? What was all these people's jobs when they were younger? I bet it was a damn sight more. Sounds like less fun than mine. I love playing gigs. I love even weddings. I even do enjoy them, like especially the Ceilidh ones, because it's just so much fun. Just teaching people how to dance and then making them dance.
Yeah.
And as much, and it's also, I don't know if you get this as well, but I feel like it's almost as fun to hear the like horror stories, because
I love a wedding horror story.
Yeah,
I think
love them.
That's one of the best parts. Because I always ask people at weddings now what their worst wedding story is. And
it's never what was the best one. What was the best function gig you've ever done? No one ever asks that. No, because you probably don't even remember.
No.
Like, why would you?
As long as it's okay, it's kind of sort of resided to the, okay, that was fine. Yes, I don't need to remember it.
We got through it, pile.
You only remember the bits which are just sort of shock horrors.
And there've been, I bet it's funny because there's been a few, but I think mainly with the Ceilidh, because you call like I do.
Yes.
So like, we can teach the dancers, even though we're not Scottish.
Yeah, I try and I always find I did a Ceilidh where I was with loads of. There were 5 callers in the audience.
Oh my god! And were they all proper Scottish?
All Scottish callers. They were like, yeah, we've all trained in dance, and I was like, okay, they're not going to appreciate this sort of southern bomb.
yeah.
Suddenly coming along.
It's true. I thought it was bad me being from Stoke because that's like right in the middle. But you're like from like Hertfordshire or somewhere, like
Hampshire. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like
the south coast.
It's
about as far down as you can go.
Literally as far away from Scotland as you can get.
Yeah.
And you're there telling them how to dance.
Yeah.
Scottish dances.
To Scottish people.
I love it. I love it. Like that gig we did in Peebles, I remember that was a similar thing when we went all the way up to Scotland. It's like, are there no callers here? Are there no Scottish bands up here that want to do this? I always like to have at least one Scottish person on the gig. Like if totally. If I can get Katie on a gig, that's always good. Katie Foster is like the best fiddle player in the West. Like, oh my god, she's incredible.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, she plays with Caban too, and she's just genuinely a really nice person. But like, she's Scottish, and that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Because you could sort of I mean, she'll call usually, I guess, if you're on a gig with her. But like, if you at least have her to be like, no, we are authentic.
Yeah.
But when you turn up and it's like me, I did one a couple of weeks ago where it was me, Carl, who's like Canadian Scottish, but he's never been to a Ceilidh before, and he has not got a Scottish accent at all. So even if you say he's from Aberdeen, they don't believe you. And then the other person was Abby, who's Welsh.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this is not authentic.
The least authentic.
But then at the same time, how many times have you played Proud Mary at a gig? Have you ever been to New Orleans?
Oh no.
Yeah. So
exactly. But then I guess it's not a New Orleans dancing audience. I don't know.
No, true. So there's the difference between like, I guess with Ceilidhing, you're teaching them traditional dances, whereas when you're just playing songs, and it's kind of like completely irrelevant because there's no tradition behind it. You're not playing Proud Mary and then talking about, I don't know, Black Civil Rights or something, even though it was written by Cleveland's Clearwater Revival, who are white anyway.
Yeah.
But you don't, it's kind of a moot point really. But you don't play function gigs and have the culture attached to the songs.
No,
you just play them. Whereas with the Ceilidh stuff, it's like, no, this is a big cultural Scottish thing.
Yeah.
And are we hijacking it by doing it, or are we? But for me, it was just a job. I learned how to call because it meant I got more gigs.
Yeah.
So.
I'm more employable for calling.
Yeah, totally. Although I said this to Michael the other day, our boss, and it's funny because I call him our boss, but he's like my friend, so it's just really weird. But I said this to him. It's funny because now that I've become a caller, I can dep out less gigs for it. So like I can't say no to a gig now, or like if I've booked one, let's say I've got a Ceilidh tomorrow, and let's say that I've got someone says, play Wembley for us. Yeah, it turns out Hans Zimmer really enjoyed. You're really terrible EP. That's
I love your hypothetical best gig is play Wembley because Hans Zimmer loved your stuff.
Yeah, he really loved it. He dug it. So he wants you to open for him, and like, and I'm there like playing press on my laptop. Even if that happened, I'd be like, but Michael's gonna have to find another caller, and there's only like 5 of us. So how's that going to work? I'm
already having that issue with a couple of things. I've gone, but you're the only caller, and I've gone,
damn it, yeah. It sucks, isn't it? Yeah, it totally sucks.
Yeah.
Have you ever? So I've decked out gigs before sometimes, and I don't like doing it really.
No.
Because it makes me feel bad because they've booked me. But then at the same time, I'm not in many bands where I'm the first person of call. So for example, in the Tartan Trio, the band we play for, book the Tartan Trio for your events and weddings.
Okay, the wedding need time trio there for you.
Michael, that'll be £500, please. So for the advertising.
You have no idea. You just got a wealth of free advertising there. Come on, pay up.
Yes, I need some more gigs for that, please. So he is the first drummer. Like, he'll be on the gig, and then if he can't do it, he'll ask me.
Yeah.
Or Richard or whoever. But like, in terms of, so that's the case in many of the bands I play with. I'm very rarely the actual drummer.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm already someone's dep. Someone's already depped out, so I feel less bad about depping out because I'm like, well, you obviously don't actually care who's on it. You just want someone who can turn up and do it.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of drummers who can turn up and do it. So if I get offered a better gig, I might as well just take it. But then I'm also a bit like, I've made a commitment, and I've also been burnt before as well, where like I've booked. I was asked to do a gig, and then I was asked to do a better gig, and I found them a replacement, and then they like didn't reply to any of my messages, and then eventually like the day before I was harassing them like, you need to get in contact with this drummer that I found for you because he needs to know where to be, where to go, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And they were like, oh, we've sorted it. It's like, oh, right. So I've basically just made my friend keep his Saturday open, and now you've just denied him that money. But then also it is my fault because I depped it out. So
yeah, I think there's definitely etiquette, isn't there? Like, I think I avoid where possible. If I've had something booked first, then I try and as much as possible keep that. But as you say, if Hans Zimmer goes, yes, come and open. Do you reckon anyone opens for Hans Zimmer at Wembley? If Hans Zimmer plays Wembley, does he have a support act?
Well, I missed the tour that he did. It was either last year or the year before.
Yeah, so did I. I had some mates who went to see it.
I had some mates who went to see it, and I didn't ask them if there was a support. I've got the Blu-ray. My friend gave me the Blu-ray for Christmas, and I mean, it's mint. It's amazing. It's the one they did in Prague, and it's like, whoa. But it's I mean, who would you have open? Like, because the thing is, it's an orchestral and film score show. And if you went to go see Katy Perry, who is like a pop act, and then like a gypsy folk band opened, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, you'd be kind of confused. You'd be totally like, it'd be really. So would he have like, I don't know, Thomas Newman open for him? Like, you know, who's gonna open for it? I don't know.
I don't know. I imagine he probably just walks on and does 2.5 hours and goes, look, I am Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, exactly.
And
did anyone open for Billy Joel when you saw him?
No. Oh, that's not true. So at Wembley, when he came this time, no one opened up for him. But when I went to see him in 2013,
Jesus,
stake in the heart. Yeah. When I went to see him in 2013, it was his first time back in the UK for about 6 or 7 years.
Right.
And so he had a guy. So for some of the dates, he had Tom Odell support him. But when I went to see him, I went and saw him at the Hammersmith Apollo, and he had a guy called Fife Dangerfield, who was in a band called the Guillemots. He's a really phenomenal sort of singer-songwriter, piano player, and that was amazing. Yeah, and that was really effective. Fife Dangerfield was also famous because he did the John Lewis advert where he covered "She's Always a Woman."
Oh, yeah. You know, that must be such a lucrative gig. Hey, we want to use your song over the John Lewis advert, or we want you to cover a song for the John Lewis advert. I mean, if someone tells you to do that, you snap that out.
Heartbeat.
Yeah, God. Yeah.
Without fail.
Because as much as I want to be like anti-capitalism, I don't really. But like, you know, like as much as I want to, you know, rebel against anything, I'm also like, I could use that John Lewis money.
That sweet John Lewis money. Syncing is such a. I was having a chat with some people the other day about syncing, and it's such a lucrative.
It really is.
Like, if you get like a Honda advert, you're sort of set for a while.
Yeah.
Like, that'll pay
Depends how long they
play
play it as well. Because if they play it for like 7 years, oh my God, every year you're just making money for just like 30 seconds of music.
Yeah, like whoever wrote that Go Compare theme.
Yeah.
Is
raking it in.
Yeah,
and like there's loads of them, isn't there? Like if you ever hear, I mean, like think about like the people who were in Fleetwood Mac, and like how many adverts have got like a skewed version of the chain.
Yeah.
You know, or the MotoGP have F1 has the chain as well. Like every single time they play the F1 on television, they have to pay Fleetwood Mac money for the chain. I mean, But my issue with syncing, because I've got a friend who works for Sony ATV actually.
Oh right.
And he's like in the syncing department. And he's a really good friend of mine. I went to uni with him. And it's just really interesting talking to him. Because it's almost like factory music. It's almost like you make music, and then they just keep it in like a library. And then if anyone wants to use it, they might argue for you to use it. They might be like, hey, you guys should use this track. But then it's also like people might just come across it. And there's a part of me that wants to pay my rent, that wants to have music on, I don't know, the new Aquafresh advert. They want some music. I mean, I don't know what business they'd have using any of my music, but like I would love that, and I would love for it to allow me to start purchasing houses and things like that. Well, say like put a lease down on like a small house. you know what I mean? Like
multiple houses across Europe.
I begin my monopoly.
LA pad.
Yeah, I spend winter in LA, summer in New York. You know how it is. And so I feel like there is an amazing. There's amazing payday available there, but there's just complete anonymity as well. Like I make art. Oh, it's gonna sound so like, I don't know, uppity, but like I kind of like the idea of making art and doing it okay at living.
Yeah.
As opposed to making just like sort of stuff that no one really cares. Like advertising stuff, it's so dispassionate. It's there to sell stuff. It's not there for. Anytime you watch an advert that looks like art, it's always for perfume usually, but then also it's like, what's your favourite advert?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, come on. Like, it's so. Whereas, like, if I asked you to name your favourite film, you'd give me like a list probably. Like, as I would. Like, and I would rather do film scoring or, because I love people like. Have you ever watched any of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies?
No, I haven't.
Well, he's like did The Master, Phantom Thread, There Will Be Blood. Well, he's done a lot of them with Johnny Greenwood.
Oh, okay.
From Radiohead.
Yeah.
Who I saw the other night at the Proms.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he's premiering a new piece, Horror Vacui. And yeah, it was awesome. It was great. And when he came on stage, it was like, oh my gosh, Johnny Greenwood. But it was also like a respectable thing because it's like, oh, he's a film scorer, and yeah, he was in Radiohead, but it wasn't like, oh my god, it's a rock star. It was like, oh, here's a cool artist coming. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And he curated a prom, and it was a really good prom. Anyway, I like the fact that they make films together. I like the fact that he creates an artistic film, and then Johnny Greenwood comes up with like a really unique, incredible artistic score, and it becomes a piece of art. I don't love the idea of like, oh, we need you to write 30 seconds of something for this thing, and here's your money. It just feels a bit gross, you know. Like I don't know. I've probably just torpedoed any chance I have of entering the sync industry.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not hire Ian Longson for your next ever project because he doesn't want to do it.
That's good. You know what? Actually, I'm studying for my masters. I could use the money. So you know what? If you want some,
I take everything back.
If you want,
I do have this fear though of like writing a really, song that makes me go, oh, I've really, it's really emphatic and really meaningful, and then it being used for sort of a toilet bleach advert or something like that, and then what a lyric or something taken out of context. I do have this sort of irrational,
it's like a fear,
I don't want to be in that boat where your song that you worked so hard on remembered is remembered because it's advertising. Have you checked you have gonorrhea, or
UTI infections are really it's like 1 in 5 women.
Treat
like,
thrush,
yeah. You don't want that.
But I think part of that is the risk you take because there's that cinematic orchestra song to build a home, which is sort of used in everything ever, it basically means they could keep living.
Yeah, totally. Or like or Sigur Ros's Hoppy Poller, that's just everywhere. Like it's one of those songs where for ages I knew the song but I didn't know who it was by, what it was called. And it's there are so many songs like that you totally recognise it. Or like there's one I went to see Carl Jenkins' birthday concert in Birmingham. Yeah, it was alright.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was alright.
We should do gig reviews.
It was alright.
Alright.
I think the orchestra were incredible, and there's this. He has one piece called Palladio, and I didn't know it was his, but like you hear it. I'll show it to you. I don't think I probably am definitely not allowed to put it on the podcast, but it's like I'll show it to you afterwards, and you'll recognise it. And you'll be like, oh, that. Like it's one of those pieces where you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that, but no idea where from, kind of thing. Like that's the weird thing. Have you ever? I mean, have you been approached because you are the leader of the Ollie West Band?
Oui.
Oui. Have you ever? Has anyone ever approached you to like use your music in something or?
It's something that not really in that way. We got asked to submit one of our songs for we played a venue in on the Isle of Wight in Ventnor called Ventnor Arts Club.
Okay.
And in Ventnor they run a film competition, and the film is that you have to the competition is you have to pick a piece of music and make a music video for it. It was for young people. So we've done that. They said, yeah, you can have that song. And
have you seen the results of it? Or?
Yeah, I have. It was it's all like young people. I think the max age you could be is 18. So
right, okay.
It was really nice to see. Just nice to see the people who'd gone, oh, I'm picking your song and I want to, because they got to choose which song they used. And
what song was it of yours?
A song called Portraits, which was on our very first EP back in 2017.
Oh wow. Nice. When did Home come out? 2018?
Yeah. October 2018, yeah.
Right. Oh my god, it's like nearly a year then.
Yeah, since that single came out. Wow. And then the album it's on came out in April this year. So.
Right, okay. Yeah. Right, okay, I totally get it now. Fair. And you're we allowed to you're like kind of working on some more stuff? How vague do I have to be?
We are working on new stuff.
Cool. I'll take it.
That's it's coming.
It's coming.
Just keep your eyes out. It's coming.
It's going.
It's going to hit you like a ton of brick. It's going to be great. You're going to love it.
How would you, for everyone who's listening, I recommend you go listen to the album though. I genuinely really like it. I've listened to it. I bought it, which who does that anymore?
No one buys things. I appreciate that. You're probably the one person I've seen who's bought it on the internet.
I was like, you know what? I'm on iTunes. I'm just gonna buy it. I don't have Spotify or Apple Music. I just don't have them. So I just buy. Buy it. I swear, that's where like if I have any money woes, it's because I buy music. Like I'll see a film and I'm like, oh, that score was really good, and it'll be like £12 to buy. I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah. It's like I'll listen to it once and then it's just on my phone. And it's just like I could have at least bought the CD. I could have at least have a copy of it.
They're phasing out iTunes though, aren't they?
Yeah, something like that. Which I think is so. It's really annoying for people like me who I use iTunes all the time. Like I love iTunes. I think it's really handy, really useful. But I don't really get what they're gonna. So they're gonna get rid of the program you have on your computer. So on my Mac I have iTunes. Will that not be a thing anymore?
I wonder if they'll do the typical Apple thing of just not updating it until it can't function anymore.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, what's been like that recently? You know what I think's been like that recently, and I feel like a conspiracy nut. Maybe I'm becoming like Bill Burr or Joe Rogan in their podcast and becoming a conspiracy nut. But I swear, have you ever tried to use Facebook on your laptop?
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's really bad. It feels laggy. It never takes you where you want to go. On your phone, it's quick as hell. You're just there like, oh, Facebook is really easy to use. I definitely feel like, of all the people, all the nerds who are in like the Facebook factory who are like updating the site and like making it good and like operating on the site every day, I reckon they're definitely only working on the mobile version of the site. And maybe there's like one guy in a back room who's like fixing all the bugs on the browser version
round the world.
Yeah, like I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like every time I go on Facebook on my laptop, it's just bad.
I think Facebook. I hate Facebook.
Really?
I wouldn't.
Shots fired, Zucker.
If I didn't have to do the whole music promo thing, or be consistently messaged on Facebook about work and stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually more like I don't even care about that because if people wanted to get in contact with me, they could ring me. But if I didn't have to do the update your Facebook page, keep your Instagram and check it, I wouldn't have it.
No.
And I'm trying to find out if there's a way you can not have it and like
still be viable.
But I don't think there is, unless I just the thing to do that a mate of mine does is just not have the app and have the messenger things. You can get all the messages, but not consistently. Because I do find myself wasting my life scrolling through
Facebook,
and
it's so designed to keep you there.
What type of pastor are you?
Well, yeah, or like I remember I was watching a video. So like I went through and like a video came up and it was like we thought you might like this, and it was like a video of a humpback whale breaching. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I watched it for like a little bit, and then as I scroll, just so many more videos about whales, and it's like, why?
You watch one video about a whale,
and then all of a sudden I'm the whale king. Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm like, there's one of these things where it's like, it tries to give you a badge, and it's like, hey, we've recognised you as one of the Planet Today or whatever they're called, or Today's Planet's top followers. Wear the badge. And I'm not gonna wear the badge. And what? Like, I'm on Facebook. I'm a voyeur, right? I'm looking at the stuff. Like, I don't want people to know what I'm looking at. Like, I'm watching videos of whales to pass the time. Who's gonna care about that? Like if I cared enough, I'd share it. I'd share the video. I wouldn't share a badge saying like. Because I think Lad Bible, I think I was one of their followers for a bit because I liked a couple of their posts, and then all of a sudden it's like, you're one of their top followers, and it's like,
is that what it takes? How many people?
I don't even know. Right. I don't even know.
The only one I've ever got is I was one of Bruce Hornsby's top fans.
Bruce Hornsby, wow.
And I was like, I think that's probably because his audience largely doesn't have Facebook.
Well, that's the thing. I think actually your band appeals to people who maybe don't have Facebook. I think they're not necessarily an older crowd, but certainly a less technologically.
No, and we have that problem when we tour. So when we tour, we do a lot of small like venues in sort of small places where we sell about sort of 30-40 tickets a show.
Yeah.
But the capacity's only like. Well, we sold about between 30 and 60 tickets a show on our last tour.
Awesome.
In about 15 different places.
Yeah.
But then all those people who come to our shows and people who then come again and again, they buy our CD.
Yeah.
They listen to it a shed load, and then when we come back, they buy our new CD.
Yeah.
And I'll get maybe an email from our website saying, like, I'll get a few emails from our website saying, oh, when you're coming back and blah blah blah. But these people don't. They don't do the whole Facebook follow and Spotify follow, and so much of today, so much of what labels recognise as success is actually going on Spotify and seeing something has 20,000 streams in 3 days.
Yeah.
But when your fan base has bought, when you take 200, 250 albums on the road and sell them all out, like across 3 weeks, like we did, that's not it's not recognised.
They don't see that. Yeah,
they don't see that bit. So there are, I get messages about once or twice a week saying, "Oh, we've been listening to your album at home all summer and we love it." And those are real fans.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate those people. But those people aren't necessarily on Facebook or Instagram or Spotify, and those don't have Apple Music, and they don't. So when you look at maybe our streams, it's not as like.
And it's a twofold thing as well, because I think as much as I want to say, oh, I'm glad we got those fans, and it's not about getting more fans through them, but it is certainly a thing where they're not going to share it. They'll tell their mates maybe, but what's their circle of friends going to be? Whereas if you share it on Facebook, there is the potentiality that it will get another share, and then that'll spread a bit more. That's how these things spread. But then at the same time, I definitely feel like there are internet gatekeepers who decide all that.
I feel like,
yeah, I just feel like we don't know who they are.
It's definitely like I also feel like it's me needing to be better at marketing. I feel like that is something I'm not very good at, is Facebook and ads and targeting. And there are people who, there are some people I know who work at small labels in Manchester who are just phenomenal at those things. It's just so they see such amazing success, and I'm just not one of those people. So I make music and I kind of go, there you go. And
it's gone.
Really, I need more. Someone going, no, you've got to post it now, and then you've got to boost it here, because people plan these things out so meticulously.
Yeah, there's like rules that I've heard which are like, if you post on a good time to post, it's like Thursday and Friday if you've got a gig coming up, because people are deciding what to do for the weekend, and then like a good times to post is like Wednesday because there's like people aren't doing anything, and like just things like that. And it's just so like, Oh god damn it! I don't even know. Like, you know, because I remember that, you know. Have you ever been on Facebook? And I can't even remember that. There's like a specific guy that I can remember, and all his videos are like him in front of like nice cars, or him like on a jet, and there's like a couple of models in the back, and you're definitely like, you've hired these people for this video. You've hired this garage full of Lamborghinis for this video. You're a content creator.
Yeah.
You're not actually this rich. And he's always like giving these business tips, and I remember this one video he did, and he was like, people always ask me when's the best time to post content or, you know, target ads and stuff, and I always say, you know, imagine I came to your house, you know, and I had a map for some treasure that was in your back garden. You know, you wouldn't mind if I knocked on your door at 10 in the morning or 7 in the evening or 3 in the morning. You'd be happy that you got the treasure. And I remember thinking, well, that's just so untrue. That's just such nonsense. Like, if you knocked on my door at 3, I'm gonna ignore you. I'm gonna think you're crazy.
If someone knocked on my door, especially where I live in Rushall,
yes.
Someone knocked on my door at 3 in the morning and told me there was treasure in my back garden. I think I told to Foxtrot. Like, leave me alone. I don't think I'd answer the door at 3 in the morning.
No, exactly.
In Rushall.
Well, no, true. But that's the thing that I found interesting about his statement was, like, he said at 3 in the morning. It's like, I might not hear it.
Oh no, I'd be
asleep. Yeah, and that's the point that he's missing, is that there are good times to post things because that's when people are on their phones.
Yeah.
So, but then at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. You got to take all those things with a pinch of salt, because it's like, he's definitely trying to get likes himself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, he's also hustling to become a figure and stuff. And it's like, you know, I thought you were trying to help me, but actually, he's working on him. You know, yeah. Not to my detriment, but certainly not to my benefit.
No.
You know. Yeah, I don't know. So with the album, did you get any like media people involved, or like PR people?
We did. We had a when we released our first single, and we thought in October, which was called Home. And
great tune.
Thank you.
It's like can I just say it's basically like a jazz song, because there's like the opening bit, the chorus as it were, and then there's this like huge interlude in the middle where it's like that would be like the solos, but it's just this like beautiful orchestral stuff, and then you come back at the end and it's like, this is crazy. Like, this is like quite unique, you know, like it's not, doesn't sound like pop, doesn't sound like classical music. It's like a really nice hybrid. Somewhere in between.
Yeah. Well, that's very nice of you, first of all. So when we released that one, we thought we'd go for we'll try and get lots of blogs and things like that, and even that's hard, because you imagine how many naff anythings are sending things to anyone at any time of the day. So we went through a couple of websites and things, and we did get a few blogs and bits like that. Yeah. But then when we released our next single, we thought, okay, we've got to hit a radio campaign. Yeah. Because we did it with a guy who's an American songwriter called Dean Friedman. Okay. And he had a couple of hits in sort of the late 70s, like a song called Lucky Stars and things like that. Okay. So he's got quite a good following around here. So we worked with his PR company to promote the single and stuff like that.
Oh right.
And the thing about these things is the thing I've realised is how much money everything costs. If you have no money and you're trying to do music, like I think it's something that really disheartened me at first, and actually has made me I've made myself feel better about it, because I've realised actually that a lot of the success you see of a lot of bands where maybe you go, oh, I don't like it in myself, but you do have moments you go, well, what are they doing that's so different to what we're doing? Why are they? And it's money. Yeah, 100%. It's that, you know, they go, right, we're going to spend £200 promoting this Facebook post, and you're like, what?
So that's like 2 gigs for me that I have to do to earn enough money just to
that's
use the ad.
Half my month's rent, you know. And you're spending it on one Facebook post. And you know, I actually need to spend that £200 on buying groceries.
Totally, or something like that, or it's money. And then also there's this lie, I think, that's sort of peddled to us, which is like, oh, anyone can make music now in your bedroom. Like,
no, you can't.
No, it's bullshit. Like, as much as you can make tracks and stuff, and there are plenty of backroom DJs who like have made mixtapes and stuff, and it's like, that's great and everything, but who's gonna play this? How is it gonna get into the zeitgeist?
Yeah.
How are people gonna hear it? And that's the thing, because what I believe the reason is that we've all been told, oh, anyone can do this, anyone can break out now, and they cite people like, I don't know, who's a good example of that? Can't even think. Like Katie Tunstall is quite a dated reference, but like, there are plenty of people who are like, oh, I was just doing this in my bedroom. Lewis Capaldi's a good thing. Like he's massive now, but like, who was he a year ago or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And there are plenty of those people, but the difference is, I think we're all told anyone can do it, so we all do it, and then now they can just cherry pick. They're not having to take a gamble. They just decide which one sounds like what they know is going to work, and then just pick, and then just airlift them out and get them onto stage. So I think there are people listening, but I feel like they're definitely looking for something, and it's definitely not something I'm selling. I mean, I write for like orchestra. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Yeah, an orchestra and jazz bands. I'm not writing the next Katy Perry tune.
No, I feel similar. I feel like there's definitely a market. It's just got to be found.
Yeah.
So we did this PR campaign, and it sort of, we paid quite a lot for it. Yeah. I went, okay, no, this is worth it. And you forget that then the first time round you do anything like that, that is just so people know who you are. So then when they pitch to Radio 2 and Radio 1, they go, oh, okay, now we know who that person's name is.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily play it, but then when you do it again and you do it again, they go, oh, right, now we'll play something, the third time you bring it to us. But you forget, by the time you've spent your third lots of money. So it's almost like gambling.
It totally is. You're right.
You go, okay, I'm going to put this money to this, and there's a gamble that it might work for one thing one time, and if that thing works, then maybe that will work. But you run out of money eventually, so you go, right, okay, I spent my money doing that. This, the PR company worked with are absolutely lovely people. They're delightful people called a woman called Lisa Davis, and she was really wonderful, great to work with, and
great soundbite on the podcast there. Sorry, just for people who are only listening, we're literally in my kitchen, like.
It's a delightful little apartment.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it actually. It's a nice apartment, but like people who are watching on YouTube can confirm this is genuinely just my apartment. Which
it's like the kitchen and then a window.
And then a busy road.
and then just the main road.
Yeah, the main road. Yeah, it's funny because I remember one night. Sorry to deviate from what you were saying, but I remember one night, one of the first nights we were here, we had like the window all the way open in the bedroom, and like this like, those lorries that have just cars on their back, just loads of cars. One of them went past, but when they go past, you hear the lorry go past, and you hear like they're all banging against each other. And it, like, I sat up in bed because I'm from the countryside. Like, I'm used to living in like if you hear a noise outside, it's like a fox cooing or like a horse, like that's it. And then all of a sudden I hear this what seems like an explosion, like a Save It Private Ryan style explosion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this window needs to close.
I've definitely come more accustomed to it now. When I first moved, well, where I used to live, the loudest thing you sort of heard was owls. Yeah. So when you or like a fox screaming.
Oh yeah, foxes screaming. Yeah, it's horrible.
I remember very, very distinctly when we first moved to Hampshire when I was about 14, walking our dog in the dark. Yeah. And where I lived in the village that my parents lived in, there were no street lamps or anything, so you used to have to go out with a torch, and I hadn't lived there very long, and hearing this sort of, and there was a big woodland, like National Trust woodland at the top of our estate. Yeah. So even if you walked around the estate, you got really near this wood, and then from the woods I heard this screaming, and I just thought like a baby was being killed or something.
It sounds like a baby wailing, doesn't it? Yeah.
And I saw you kind of blood curdling, so I just went, nope, ran back home.
Yeah, ran home, yeah.
And I was going, what is that? And I was looking it up for hours. I spent like an hour on the computer going, why have I heard a child screaming in the woods? And, so I learnt the hard way what foxes screaming sound like.
They're like calling to their kids, aren't they? It's like vixens calling to their cubs, isn't it, or something?
Or it's like a horrible mating call or something. I can't
even
either way, terrifying.
I remember being lying in bed, and we moved when I was 10 or 11. I think I was still 10, and I remember in the bedroom I was in, I had like the window open, and it opens onto our backyard, which is quite big, and then we're next to a field, one of our fields with the horses and stuff, and so it's like I'm proper country bumpkin like yourself, like village, field, blah blah blah, and I remember just like hearing this like scream. And I was like, what the hell? It's like 2 a.m, I'm in bed, and like I got school tomorrow, and I'm not going. But then I spoke to my dad in the morning. I was like, what? I swear I heard this like scream in the night. And he's like, oh yeah, it's a fox. It's like, what? No, that's not an answer. You just said that's a fox. What do you mean that's a fox? What was happening to the fox? He's like, oh no, it's just what they sound like. It's like, oh,
it's a fox being tortured.
Yeah, great, awesome. I'm so happy that's what foxes just sound like. Great. That's just the noise. That's just the noise I have to live with through my years.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Owls and foxes. What was I talking about?
Oh, PR company. Lisa Davis.
She's great. Basically, you have to spend loads of money to do anything.
Yes.
So, and then recording anything costs loads of money.
Yeah.
So you just super constant battle stroke. It actually, the longer you talk about it, the more depressing it gets. As to making it just requires you either get really lucky or you're really smart and you're really good with people. Yeah. I think you have to learn to be really good with people.
That's an interesting thing, because I always hear that, there's this magical term, networking. You always hear, they always say you need to be good at networking, be nice and polite, network. And it's that term where it's like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, what is networking?
Yeah, what does that mean? Yeah, like, do you mean, like, do I go to a conference? Where's this magical room where Steven Spielberg and like the head of music at Fox and head of music at Sony, where they're all stood there chatting, and the way you can just walk over to them and say, hi, I'm a music composer, can I be on the next?
And they go, great, yeah. I just imagine if I was like Steven Spielberg or like a radio boss at,
well, if you're Steven Spielberg, you're probably going to use John Williams. But yeah.
True. But if you're if you're a radio boss at Six Music, where they appear all the time at like Off the Record and things like that, I went to a couple of networking things because we were encouraged to.
Yeah.
And I'd always feel a bit like, if I was in the gatekeeper's shoes.
Yeah.
How many people have come up to me today and gone, this is my EP. We really want you to hear it. We really think we'd fit in well. How many CDs does he have in his bag? And how many is he actually going to go home and
listen to? Yeah.
And listen to.
100%.
Because I know if I was, I'd like to think if I was in the same boat, I'd go and listen to all of them. But you can't.
No,
because that's just not how life works.
No.
So
I remember I went to. Have you ever heard of E3?
Yes.
I went to E3 in the November of like 2016. So I graduated uni, and I had like a demo of like 6 tracks that I'd like mocked up with MIDI sounds and stuff, and they sounded alright. They weren't amazing, and it was mainly just like action tracks and stuff. And I was like, I'm gonna go to E3. I'm gonna pay my money. I'm gonna go. It was at the NIA. No, it was the NEC in Birmingham. I was like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna network with games people, because I love playing video games. I'm a massive video game fan, and I would love to score video games. And you go, and you realise very quickly that all the people who need music aren't there. The people who the thing about those kind of events is like they're demoing their stuff they've already got. So they've already got a guy, they've already got a composer. And the only success I had at that entire place, because like there was like loads of indie games being like premiered and stuff, and it's like, hey, come and play our game. It's like a top-down, side-scrolling, all the lingo that they use. We made it in Unity or whatever, and like you're like, oh, this is really cool. If you guys need a composer, and then the guy will be like, oh, I am the composer, and you're like, oh, sorry, would you like my CD? It's, and the only success I had really was like, there's like a bit at the back where it's all the like unis that work on games and stuff, like, games courses, and I got a couple of like student games out of that, but like, it's so difficult because like it must be saying in the pop music world where it's like, I say pop music world, when I say pop music world, that's an umbrella term for me. That's the record industry, I guess.
Yeah. When
you go into the record industry, it's like you don't go in making a AAA game. You don't go in making Destiny or Skyrim. You go in making a shitty little game, and then eventually you work your way up to work on bigger companies as like interns, and then eventually you make your way up. But for music, especially in those kind of industries, it's so difficult because like you can't just do that. And like in pop music, in the record industry, you can't just work as an intern for EMI and then all of a sudden be their next big hit. Like it doesn't work. Doesn't work.
You can't get in touch with people like that.
No.
And yeah, you can't get in touch with anyone unless you always need something more than you have. Every sort of stage of, I think, success, you need something else. So to do this you need management. We don't take unsolicited emails, we only take emails from artist management, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you go get management, and they're like, but we're not going to, for a radio campaign you need a PR company because we don't take unsolicited, so you need a PR person to come in, so you get a PR person, they go in, and you're like, oh, okay, we need a tour manager so we can get you gigs on these tours, and you do that. And then
it's like, what do I even need you for at this point? I've done all these things.
Great, I'll make them. And I guess actually that for the artist, if the artist wants to focus just on making music, great. But also you can't just get those things. You need to, and then you can't access those people either. And the latest one I thought is that I didn't realise this, by the way, that the Mercury Prize only has about 220 applicants a year. Only 220 albums get submitted for the Mercury Prize per year.
Really?
That's what it's on their website. It said on average we get 220 submissions. And I thought, that is not a lot of submissions.
That's not that
when
many.
You consider how much music is coming out.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a remarkable... And then I was reading more, on their website, submission. They're like, submission cost is 190 quid. And I was like, that's not a lot. Yeah, when you consider, like... They only get 220 submissions, and they give out a prize money of 25 grand for the winning album, cash. You're like, that's not loads, is it?
Yeah, you would definitely give that a punt, wouldn't you?
All those 220 albums are listened to by the same 12 judging people. They all listen to these albums in full because they have to for this part of the process.
Yeah.
And
if you've paid your money.
Yeah, if you've paid your money. So, and those people so this year it was like Jamie Cullum was on the panel for the Mercury Prize and things like that, and I was
he'd like your stuff.
Exactly. And I was going, wow, I'm just going to do it. And then you read even further into the T&Cs, and you're like, we only accept submissions from record labels who own the masters, and you're like, and it's like, and the Mercury Prize, it's one of the few sort of awards that I go, you prick your ears up, because everything that comes onto the Mercury Prize, more or less, I go, oh, that's actually quite cool. It's just one of those ones where, and they're always rabbiting on about, it's from, people like the 1975 have been nominated this year, to people who were, there was a man called Benjamin Clementine who was nominated a while ago, and he was he was homeless at one point, and you were like, wow, this phenomenal, broad mix of people. And so we had a meeting, me and the guys who play in my band, who are Ashley, Pete and James, and I was going, because we're in the process of doing maybe new things, top secret, hush hush, maybe
redacted
soon.
This part of the podcast is just going to be redacted.
So I said, why, we could just go for it, and if we get our timings right, and then we just read, and everyone was like, yeah, because everything I've just said to you, go, oh well, why not?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And then you read it has to come from a label, and you're like, but to get to a label, we need to
I've heard from someone I went to uni with. We went down and did a gig in London for some random. It was a random. I don't know how we got the gig. It's some singer from Liverpool, and she had like the Liverpool Academy thing. They did a gig in Camden, and it's kind of a cool gig. I was only depping, and it was just like kind of fun. But his mate came to see us, who works in London, and I was talking to her, and she was like, she said, I don't know why so many people go looking for labels, when if you need a label, just make a label. And I was like, what? Shut up, what are you on about? And she's like, you could just make a label. You just register your label with like Company's House or whoever, get yourself a website, and call yourselves a label, and then you're a label, and then just have yourself on the books. Like, because there's been quite a few. Like, I'm sure Jacob Collier. I'm sure his record label is like called Haranga Records.
It's just him.
Yeah, I think it's just him. So like, I think it's probably distributed by. So I think distribution is like a different thing. I think you probably have to go to like Universal before you get any kind of good distribution. But like at the same time, you could just start your own label and then just apply that way. Because then you get to keep your own masters then as well. Because it's your label. Yeah, I've always thought about doing that, but then it's like it unless you've got because the thing is with labels, of course, is you need to have the money to record the stuff. So if you haven't got the money anyway, it's kind of would be nice for a record label to pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thing. So yeah, I don't know, that might be the thing. So have you guys entered the Mercury Prize or what?
Well, we're thinking with our next unspecified release.
Redacted.
We were thinking redacted. That we were gonna do that. We were thinking about doing it, and then that is actually quite a good loophole, isn't it? It's just setting up your own label. Definitely not a loophole though.
Yeah, no.
If the Mercury Prize are listening.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Jamie,
this is definitely a real bona fide label that is real and found us.
Imagine if you called your label like "This isn't a fake label." But yeah, I'd like you to introduce you to the executive of "This is a real label. This is not a fake label." The label, like that would be. That'd be so funny.
That is funny.
I almost want to do that now and like sign a load of people up.
Yeah.
Were you on Northern Quarter when you were?
We were.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. Do they drop you as soon as you leave college?
I don't think drop is the right word. The contract is a single release. So we released our album Time Stood Still out now through Northern Quarter Records, and then we have a contract with them that spans a certain period of time, and but they were good, and that having that support for our first album meant we could really go to town and recording it and all the rest. That was so I think we were sort of living the life of luxury a bit with our first album, because then with this next unspecified project, we're really going a bit more grassroots in terms of how we're recording it, and a lot of it's sort of DIY, and
you might get more respect for that, I guess. Yeah, it's one of those things where I think actually a lot of it is the mastering. I feel like that's the big bit.
Yeah.
Because, the actual normal recording stuff is like, it is very important. Like, I've got plenty of friends who work in studios and own studios who would say, no, record it in a good room and, have good microphones. But then also, it sounds crap without a good master. Like, you need to get, like, mastering is like half the battle.
And I think I think mastering is something that will just have to be one of those expenses.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've got a friend of ours called Jack March, who's a wonderful sound engineer, and he came with us on tour in June and did all of our dates. We did about half our dates with another guy called Josh, who was equally wonderful. But me and Jack are sort of, I'm teaching him how to play the piano, he's recording our stuff, and but the good thing is about my original stuff is that there's so many people involved. In as you know, we tour with a string quartet, but then we also record with a brass and woodwind quartet, and then we have so many string players on the sort of not roster, but it all becomes like a big family. So how I see it is it's sort of a bit like the Ollie West inverted commas family.
Yeah, the collective.
Like this big collective of people who are all in it together, and so it's like a big, where everyone's mates and we all support each other, and we've now, by now bringing, because that when that starts as a band, every band is a bit like a family. It's just like you start as like 4 musicians, and now that's expanded to be maybe 20 musicians and a couple of sound engineers. And we have a woman who works with us called Suki, who's become part of that family, who's helping us do great things. And so we've got a lot of people, but who are not only just musicians, but we've got some we've got sound engineers and business people and people who are going to really help part of that family, and then it just sort of grows and expands. And so by building that up, actually we are able to record this next unspecified project. Because we've got support, we've got people who will do it for us, and we'll you go, okay, I'll teach you to play the piano, we'll do this stuff, I'll do this for you, I'll buy you bags of chips, and
that goes a long way.
It does. It really does. Yeah. It really does. And it's so nice to be in that boat.
Yeah, totally. And I think the audience that you've got already will appreciate a more grassroots album. I feel like if it was like, like some major label who have pop stars on their roster, they might be a bit like, it needs to sound like, I don't know, like a top-notch producer has done this. But I think actually the people who would dig your stuff probably are way more open to a more grassrootsy kind of album, more DIY album. I feel like that's certainly true. I feel like that's definitely always been true with jazz and folk stuff. Yeah. And I feel like your stuff almost hits into that kind of market, like,
Definitely with the new stuff more. I think there's something quite romantic, romanticized about recording it all yourself. Actually, there's the very first Bon Iver album, which I think is called Forever Ago or something like that. I can't remember. The first Bon Iver album, if you've ever heard it,
I've heard some stuff. Yeah,
it's extraordinary because he went out to the story is, he went out to a hunting cabin in the middle of nowhere in America for 3 months. Broke up with his girlfriend and it was all dramatic. Then went out into the woods basically and took all his instruments with him and a laptop with Pro Tools and recorded a load of demos.
Oh right.
Came back 3 months later and showed his mates, and they just went, and he was like, I'm going to re-record it all, and they went, why?
Yeah, this is good.
Don't. Yeah, this is your album.
Yeah.
And then he released it, and there's something when you're listening to it, the fact that I don't know if you think it's the fact that I know it was done sort of just in a shack with like 3 microphones. It's just a guy on his own. There's something quite romantic about that, and there's something that actually makes me enjoy the music more.
It's like Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells. Like he recorded all that like himself. And like, you think to yourself, that's so awesome. It adds like that extra layer.
Yeah.
Of like, I don't even know how you describe it, but like intrigue about an album. Like it's like, oh wow, that's so cool how they did that. Whereas I think a lot of that mystique's gone now. I feel like it's very much like here's this beautifully polished, amazing piece of thing that we're just going to sell loads of money, and it's just like, I don't know, and you get like manufactured like things like what was the whole thing with Beyonce's album Lemonade, where there was some sort of thing between them and Kanye or something, or Kanye West and Taylor Swift had beef or something. Just all this kind of nonsense where it's just like these rich, extremely wealthy socialite people are laughing at you right now because they're making this up so they can sell you more tat. Whereas I feel like when it's you making your album or Bon Iver making his album, it's like, I've just poured my heart into this.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah.
You can hear it in the quality of, I don't know, I always think the same like with composers. Like, I think when you can, it's sort of what, actually it's something that the idea of this was sort of introduced to me really by Billy Joel, because in the sort of 90s.
Sorry, Ollie, do you like Billy Joel?
I love Billy Joel. This is a piss take.
Anyone who knows Ollie West knows that he loves
I love Billy Joel.
What's Billy Joel's birthday?
Oh dear, August, is it? I can't remember.
Oh my god, last time we spoke
I think it's August I want to say 29th. I'm going to be wrong. I can't remember.
Oh my god. What? Last time we spoke, you were like, boosh this day, and I can't remember.
I know, he's just turned 70 as well. I should really know. Anyway,
go on.
He in the 90s did a series of masterclasses, and then he posted them all sort of online, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
And he went around to loads of American universities and did like Q&As and stuff. And he was asked who his favourite sort of songwriters, composers were. And I remember really vividly talking about how he preferred Beethoven over Mozart, because
big words.
I know, because with Mozart, who was obviously a genius, you could sort of and it just came to him so naturally that he just wrote it, and everyone just went, "Oh my god!" And there's no denying the music's amazing, but then he said you look at Beethoven's old scores and you could see where he'd turmoiled over it and crossed bits out and gotten cross with himself, and there's something about that sort of comes through in the music, sort of angst, that frustration of not getting it right and having to work so hard on it. And I think I was kind of like, I can, when you can hear in music that someone has, it's not quite, well, not quite, but it's like you can hear that someone's done it all themselves, and they've quite, they've turmoiled over it. You can see in books they've scribbled out lyrics and notes and things, and that really it really turns me on to like some music, whereas like something, as you say, is so polished and comes straight onto the charts and has no depth. I just you go, well, it doesn't do anything for me, doesn't it? Because I can't hear that the artist is like has struggled with this.
And that's interesting. You bring like because obviously I didn't really know Billy Joel was like that into classical music, but like Beethoven and Mozart, that's such an interesting argument, because Mozart, like from the age of like 2, it was like, oh yeah, this kid's amazing, and it was just like, but I think a lot of the music at the time, in fairness, like that sort of period, it was extremely formulaic, and I think like he wrote loads of amazing music within. He got the formula, he totally understood it, and was like amazing with it. But I don't think he was like breaking new ground. Whereas Beethoven broke new ground. Like if you listen to some of Beethoven's late string quartets, it's like, Jesus, this is modernist stuff. You'd imagine it from the 20th century or something. Yeah. And I feel like, you're totally right. Like I love listening to like, I don't even know, like composers who I just know are unhappy. I love listening to
someone's miserable.
Yeah, I love it. I feel sad that I love it, but like when you listen to like, I don't know who's a good one, like Chopin or Tchaikovsky's a good example, because that guy was just like,
he was miserable. Rightly miserable, but he was miserable.
Yeah, he had a fake marriage, and like he was the Elton John of like the late 1800s. Like he really was, and and you think I love hearing that emotion come through, but when it's just like, here is this thing we made, it's just like, don't care.
I wrote this album because a label asked me to.
It's contractual obligation. I had to write another album. That's always a weird one. Although then again, actually, the contractual obligation thing is a weird thing, because Miles Davis, I heard a story somewhere that when he left the first label he was on, and he went to like Blue Note, I think, the label he was on before was like, you owe us 4 albums. So we went into the studio and over 2 days recorded 4 albums. Like what the fuck? And like he recorded, and I think it's like called like Cooking with Miles and something like that with Miles. And it's amazing because the quintet or quartet he was with were so good that they were able to just sit into the studio and just play 6 hours of music, and it was like, fine, there you go. That's about 4 albums worth. But they're really good. Like that's the thing. Like as the contractual obligations can occasionally be incredible, because it's like, I feel like sometimes restrictions are good on an artist. I feel like sometimes it's good to be like, hey, you can only do this, this, and this, or you have to do this, and then you have to work out how to be amazing within that box. Yeah. Whereas I feel like a lot of the things I struggle with as a composer is just like, do I write for piano, orchestra, string quartet, string ensemble? Like there's so many different combinations of things, and when you've got people like Pierre Schaeffer and the modernists of the early 20th century who are like, use any sounds, it's not just instruments, sound itself, and you think, now I have to compose with sound as well, it's just crazy. I think sometimes restrictions are sort of helpful. I don't know if you'd agree.
I think deadlines for me, I think that within that, like, when with this new unspecified project Beep Beep, we I've got we've got loads of people playing on it, but obviously then I have to arrange all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've sort of been not putting it off, but knowing what I want to write in my head and going, okay, this is what I want here and this is what I want to sound, but just not writing it down.
Yeah.
And I know, and I was going, but I didn't have any specific dates in the diary yet, and I was going, oh, okay, well we can figure. And I just know if I didn't put dates in, I wouldn't do it. So I'm like, right, we're recording this and here and this here and this here, and so I have to write that by here, so I can actually rehearse it before here. So so setting myself deadlines really helps me write.
That's a good piece of advice I think for a lot of like young songwriters, is like, you know what, give yourself like a month, and tell yourself you have to get up at an open mic or something after a month and you have to play this new thing. And so what you do,
Stevie Wonder writes a song a day.
Jesus,
that's madness, isn't it?
That is
and
madness.
He says, most of them are terrible, but that's.
I
couldn't do that. That is like.
I think Stevie Wonder has probably written more. I bet his duds are better than like most people's normal songs.
Yeah, probably. This is Stevie Wonder.
He's a genius.
Yeah,
absolute genius.
He writes a song a day, and I think. I mean, I was always like, wow. I wonder if I could write a song a day, and you try for a bit. But I think it's like something like that is probably really good for people who are like trying to write and going. But then people just always doubt themselves. I always find myself going, oh, this isn't good enough, is it? But actually just going, no, you're going to have this finished and you're going to play it here. And it's probably that great.
Yeah.
And then if it's bad, if it doesn't go well, it doesn't matter, does it?
And also, I think you learn from mistakes. You learn. You don't grow by only winning. Yeah. You grow by losing. And I think if you can reevaluate, if you think to yourself, I've just written a really bad song, why is it bad? How do I know it's bad? Those things I know to avoid. And like you can then the next time you write a good song, you're like, oh, I know why that's good, because I didn't do the things I did badly in the last song. Things like that. We'll wrap this up in a minute. What's your favourite movie?
Why don't I have just a favourite movie off the top of my head? Forrest Gump.
Whoa, Forrest Gump. Cool, great movie.
Tom Hanks is my favourite actor of all time.
Of all time.
I just, basically, if it's got Tom Hanks in, I'm there.
Yeah. You know what I haven't seen that I really want to see with Tom Hanks in? Bridge of Spies.
I haven't seen that yet.
Apparently it's amazing, and it looks really cool.
It's probably amazing because it's got Tom Hanks in.
It's got Hanks in.
I really love Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump, no matter what, makes me weep.
Really?
Yeah. I've watched it hundreds of times. I love it.
Really?
It's one of my favourite films ever. Yeah.
Have you seen because what year was that? It was 94?
93, 94, something like that.
I mean, he was killing it in the 90s. There was that, and then there was like what was Toy Story, obviously.
Yeah. Another brilliant film.
Another incredible film. When was Big? Was Big the 80s or 90s?
80s, then.
Right, okay. There's one I saw with him in called like The Money Pit. And it was like him and this girl buy this house in the countryside that they have to fix up, and it's a money pit. And that's the story. That's the story.
Oh, that's
the whole story. It's like, what's happening? What? Great. But then because he's so charismatic, you're like, I'll watch it. I'll give it a try.
Do it.
Yeah, screw it.
Another one of my favourite films is The Jungle Book, the original Jungle Book.
The original Jungle Book. Have you seen the Jon Favreau one, the new one?
Yeah.
Because there's been 2 in recent years.
There was the Andy Serkis one, wasn't there?
Yeah, was that any good?
No.
Is it not?
None of the animals look right. They all looked a bit wrong. If you're going to do something with live action and like fake real animals, at least make the animals look like animals.
Have you seen the new Lion King?
Yeah. I thought it was a bit bizarre.
It's weird, isn't it?
It was like a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah, but without some of the iconic shots though. Like, do you remember the shot when the wildebeest are coming at Simba? Spoilers. And then there's this amazing spoilers. Like, who hasn't seen the Lion King?
You haven't seen the Lion King by now. I'm sorry.
Come on,
come on.
Yeah, come on, mate. I've still got like the original VHS and everything. But like, there's a brilliant shot where they recreate. You know that thing where you pan the camera in and zoom out, and you see his face, and it does that. And this one, it's just like, it's just so boring. I was just bored, and I felt like Scar was too evil. Yeah. I don't know, and they didn't look right. I don't know. I still enjoyed it.
Lions shouldn't be able to talk. That's the problem. If you go to real lions, lions can't move their mouths like they're talking like people.
Yeah.
So if you're doing real lions, in inverted commas, they can't talk.
Yeah.
So how do you get around that?
Because when I think about things like I love The Dark Crystal, one of my favorite movies, and then also have you seen the new Netflix Dark Crystal prequel series? No. Dude, go onto Netflix, watch the prequel series, and watch The Dark Crystal. It's all on Netflix. So good. Have you seen The Dark Crystal?
I've not. No.
It's really good. It's Jim Henson at his best. So like he's like, I've done with making the Muppet Show. I'm gonna make some really weird, dark fantasy, amazing movie. It's so weird and so awesome.
Cool.
It's all puppets, no humans in it at all. And the interesting thing is then, but it's not like little puppets. It's like amazing costumes. It looks incredible. But the way they get around it is like when they're talking, they're really talented puppeteers who can make it work, the talking and everything. But then there's this also added effect of like, it's a puppet.
Yeah.
You don't ever forget that. You just get in with the story. You kind of just like, okay, I know it's a puppet, let's go on. Whereas when it's like CGI that looks so photorealistic, you're like, so am I to believe that that's a real lion?
Yeah. And the animations are phenomenal. Like, I think I just hate for it to be a sort of, we're trying to prove how good animation is now by just making everything sort of real but not really real. Yeah. Well, I've heard apparently they're doing a Lady and the Tramp with actual dogs.
Yeah, actual tramp dogs as well. Like they're all homeless dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they apparently like sourced them at like animal shelters and stuff over the US, which is pretty cool, pretty commendable. But then at the same time, there's the two rules of theatre: never work with kids, never work with animals. Like it's just gonna look bad. But it's not a movie. It's a Disney Plus series, so it's not gonna be like a big I don't know. I'm gonna get Disney Plus, man. Like there's so much stuff on. They've got me by
because they own everything.
They own everything. So and then all the Marvel stuff's on there. The Star Wars stuff will be on there.
So they make the money in it.
Yeah, true.
Well, everyone's got a streaming service now. And stuff like
that. I mean, there's like Hulu, and then
there's the HBO one that friends can go on. And
HBO Go, and then also there's because there's Spotify and Apple Music, but then there's also there's Tidal as well.
Tidal, Deezer. There's so many. When you upload your music to be distributed, you see how many things it's going. It's about 40, and you've got to remember things like Google Play and Amazon Music still exist.
Yeah. You know what I like about Amazon Music is if you buy a record or a CD, you then get the digital download as well.
Yeah, I like that.
I do love that, I have to say, because that is really awesome, and it's not that much more money just to get the CD. And then
I'd like it if you could buy CDs on iTunes, like proper CDs.
That would be. I don't know why they never branched into the physical thing.
Probably because it would just be, they'd have to keep stock, and then it would be too.
Do they still make iPods?
I don't think so.
I guess why would you when you can get an iPhone that has
but they're really quiet about it, because I was thinking about this really not long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't they make iPods anymore?
Yeah.
But then I guess what's the point? Because every iPhone is an iPod.
But the problem with my iPhone is it's 64 gig.
Yeah.
Which is great, but I've got 200 gig of music on my iTunes. I have to then go and pick the music
what you want.
Yeah. Whereas if I got the three, because they used to make 320 iPods. Old ones, or even 180 would probably do me, to be honest. I wouldn't have to worry about picking what I wanted. I could
bang it on,
So
I guess that's why they're trying to phase it out, because with iTunes with Apple Music, Spotify, that doesn't. Well, Apple Music can take data, but Spotify you can download, but who does?
Yes.
So
it's one of those weird things, isn't it, where you feel betrayed, because it's no, that's how I listen to music, but then you realise everyone who is younger than me doesn't listen to music how I listen to music. There are no kids, I used to work at a high school, and it's those kids don't own any music. They just have the streaming services. It's sad. I like owning it. I like the fact that I've got a record. Do you like Rush?
Our guitarist loves Rush, James.
Really?
He's a big Rush head, yeah.
Well, they're mint. But I've got an album that was my girlfriend's dad's. He basically bought one of their albums. I think it's Permanent Waves. And there's two. It's a double not CD, double LP.
Yeah.
And it goes side 1, side 2, side 2, side 4.
No,
there's no side 3.
There's sprint.
oh, that's so cool! Oh my god, I've got a misprint. That's really unique and amazing. And like, and I've also got a normal copy as well that has just all of it on. But like, what an awesome thing to have, you know? Like, it's such a unique. It's like when you go to a gig or something and people take a drumstick home, you know, because they find it like they catch the drumstick. It's like one of those drumsticks for everyone because you could own the thing. Yeah. Whereas if you it's like memorabilia, but memorabilia that's useful because you can still play music with it. Yeah. You know, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I also think with CDs, like, why don't they make? You know what I think would be cool if you made something the size of like a cassette that just had like the USB in or something. Like, because if I'm gonna just use the USB, might as well just use it because I can use USB in like cars and stuff. Yeah. Why not just sell that? Because you could sell that for a fraction of the price because it costs way less to produce. And boosh, there you go. You've got something else to sell. Yeah. It's just not a thing.
Well, I think music is sort of worth £1 a track. Like, if you're selling a CD for £10, that's fair.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I think songs are worth more than quid a thing. So I'm not sure I would sell it for like, if you were selling a USB with your album on, my album is worth £10.
That's right.
Whether it costs me more to make or less to make. Like, if I could make more money selling it as a USB. But
which controversial opinion, but actually it seems like the way Spotify and Apple Music do it is actually probably the fairest, most democratic way you could do it. It's like, this is I know, but like, this is the most amount of people who listen to your stuff. Therefore, that's how much you get. Yeah. Which is interesting, but at the same time,
it's just bizarre.
It is bizarre. But then if you look at people like, because the thing is, if you were to scale that back, so let's say, for example, Lewis Capaldi, I saw he did a post the other day, and his album had streamed 1.5 billion times. Okay, so if he'd have sold his album, the thing is, 1.5 billion people wouldn't have bought his album. Like, I don't know how many people that is listening to on repeat, but it's definitely not one for one. It's not one person listens to his album. It's like so many people have got, like, somebody you used to love, or whatever that's what it's called. Yeah. Someone you loved. So many people have got that on the playlists, and they play it in coffee shops and on the radio and all that kind of thing. But 1.5 billion streams. So that's 1,500,000,000.
Calculator out if you're not watching this on YouTube.
Well, so what is a Spotify rate? It's like 0.002p per stream or something like that.
That's 150 million.
Oh,
you need another zero.
Oh, why isn't another zero?
Because it's 1,500 million.
It is. You're absolutely right. Why is it not?
Does it not give you the?
Oh, it's because my phone's locked. That'll be why. So if I go to the calculator, so 1.5 billion. So that's a stream per track is 0.002, I think. But it's for his whole album. So that times 10, so 0.02. So that times by 0.02, he's made 30 million on that album.
How much of that is his label taken?
I don't know. To be fair, let's say it's 20%, divide by 80. Wait. No, that doesn't make sense. Divide by
100 times by 80, right?
Yeah, that'd be more like it. Divide by 30 million, divide by 100.
300,000.
Yeah, times by 20. So they take it 6 mil. So he's still going home with like 22 mil. Like, or even if it was 50-50, you're still going home with 15 mil. Yeah. Like some lad from Glasgow. But I wonder if as many people would have bought the album.
No,
totally not. Like, all the mums who go to Tesco and buy albums and like, oh, it's nice, vastly outweighed by the amount of people who will just have it on the background streaming. You know, like whenever my girlfriend goes on Spotify, she just goes on the top 50 playlist. Like, that's what she listens to. Yeah. That's what a lot of people do. And I don't. It's good for some people. It's good for Lewis Capaldi, and I feel great for him because he is really funny as well. I don't know if you ever watched him in interviews. Yeah, he's genuinely hilarious.
He seems like an actual nice person, which is quite nice to see.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's not vapid in any sense. He's just some lad who played in pubs and now is playing the world. But in terms of from our perspective, if you bought our album one time, that's equivalent to like a few 100,000 streams. Yeah. So just buy it one time, please. Like, if
please just buy our album.
Yeah, just buy the 10 quid. Just why not? I mean, it's you'll spend that much money. How much money will people spend on phones? Like, or just buying something crap.
Or 3 pints.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the 3 pints in your pub. You could have bought an album that you can keep forever, and your grandkids will be like, "What's that? We get music telepathically sent to us from the Nexus and Skynet," and you'll be like, "That's a CD, kids," and it was great while it lasted. Depressing way to end the podcast. Have you got any? What are your socials? How do we find you?
Cool. So currently, it's facebook.com/Ollie West Music, and then we're on Spotify as the Ollie West Band, and Apple Music and all those great streaming things we just talked about.
Yeah.
OllieWest.com.
Are you guys OllieWest.com?
Yeah.
Sick.
That's the thing.
Do you have Twitter or anything, or Instagram?
I do have Twitter. I'm really bad at Twitter.
I'm awful at
/
Twitter.
Ollie West Band is our Twitter. @Ollie West Band is our Twitter handle. Instagram is Ollie West Music. It's all relatively similar. If you find one, you're going to find the others.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's it, man. All right. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Eden. Cheers, man.